Hi, and welcome back to Clark's Chair, where we talk about how people's lives and jobs have been affected through COVID. Today we'll be talking with a nurse from the United Kingdom. Her name is Maeve, and we see how her job had fully changed when COVID hit, when the lockdowns came, how life changed, and how changing wards that were normally not COVID into having her whole hospital being changed, where one ward was not COVID, and how she had to deal with the problems of herself going in and also protecting her family from coming back from work. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. And everyone's okay over there.
Yeah, everyone's okay over here. It's not too bad over here, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Be nice to get you back sometime soon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Even to visit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be going back to Cork, but not that's not the UK, but
Yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah, I can't wait to go back, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if the uni will open, so.
I know, yeah.
It's because with all COVID and in Ireland, it's a bit dodgy right now. But
Yeah, they're
yeah,
being really cautious, which is probably good for Ireland because I'm not sure their health service would cope with, a big burst of COVID because they just
yeah,
don't have the resources. But yeah, so they need to be careful. But they're rolling out the vaccine, and hopefully that will make a difference, right?
yeah. I heard my mom. She said that they got a load of vaccines. They ordered a load my, recently. I don't know when they'll come in, but hopefully
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hopefully they'll get out because I know my nan hasn't got it yet.
Oh,
has your mom got
yeah.
it?
My mum got it.
Oh, nice.
Only like last week or something. It's quite recent, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that's good. At
Yeah,
least it's starting. Yeah.
yeah. That's true. At least it is starting. So
Yeah.
how's it and how's work been?
Yeah, it's been up and down.
Up and down.
So I work in the emergency department,
Yeah.
but kind of oversee some of the other areas like the ward, the acute admissions ward, and kind of the day unit and the ambulatory care unit. So from an emergency kind of point of view, at the beginning it was, back in when we first heard there was a virus on its way, it was all very preparing for something that we all kind of thought would never really happen. Do you know what I mean? Because you hear
Yeah.
all these things and nothing like this obviously has ever happened before. But so we had all training everyone to don and doff, which means
Yeah.
how you put the stuff on and off and all that. And then we got our first patient, and it was also exciting and drama and all the rest of it.
Mm.
And that was in that was just before Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
And then January kind of went on. February it just kind of trickled on. We were just being super cautious, with everybody. Could it be COVID? Could it be COVID? But we weren't really getting much, if any, really, in January. And then in February, the half term, everyone went off skiing to Italy, and that's when I think they came back and brought it with them. And it just went crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
The hospital had to completely turn, be turned around. We had to change in every kind of area into a red and green area. So we had to find another, like patients coming in to ED, they kind of either go to injuries,
Right.
ambulatory care, major is resus. So because it's so contagious and because a lot of the treatment they needed was what you call aerosol generating. So if they had CPAP, it pushes particles out into the air.
Right.
And then so it would contaminate kind of areas.
Okay.
So you had to separate the green from the red because obviously they were vulnerable patients and you couldn't expose them to COVID, and
Yeah.
you couldn't expose normal patients to COVID, never mind vulnerable patients to COVID. So it was a massive change around. We had to just change everything around, and we really got hit. It was like I say, nothing I've ever seen before. It's hard even to remember, even looking back now, thinking that it actually happened. But then quite quickly, when the country went into lockdown, everything settled down. From an ED perspective, people stopped coming in. The department got really quiet. People didn't want to come to hospital because they didn't want to catch COVID. So it was quite eerie. The wards were really busy for a while because they had lots of sick people. ITU. We have a 10-bedded ITU, and we ended up with 30 patients in our ITU at one point, with a plan. So we tripled our capacity, and we thought, and we were kind of getting ready for 50 if it kept going in that direction.
Whoa.
I was like, where the hell are we going to put 50 ITU patients?
Yeah.
But they did the Nightingale. Now the Nightingale, by the time they'd done all the Nightingale, it had stopped because they'd gone into lockdown, and
right.
you know, there was no need for it. So the Nightingale was never really utilised. But we did send a couple of people out. But in Hackney, where I was, we were one of the, I think, first places that were kind of hit quite badly. So, you know, ITUs transferred out to other ITUs where they weren't so bad.
Right.
But yeah, so it was quite quick. So it peaked quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then it dropped quite quickly. And so that was the second wave. But, you know, the kind of leftover ITU, clearing up ITU and the wards and things like that from all these sick people kind of trickled on. So we went into lockdown in March until probably May, June, you know, and then by June probably things were much better, and you know, everyone had left ITU. I think pretty much everyone that was in ITU. I think that very few people survived, which was quite sad.
Yeah, wow.
And then it really, really quietened down, and things started to pick up again a little bit, you know, back to normal, but never really back to. So we would see anything up to kind of 420 patients a day pre-COVID. That would be a busy day.
Right.
350 would be a normal day.
Right.
And during COVID, we were seeing between 200 and 250 patients a day after COVID. Like when things started to pick up, the maximum they picked up to was 250. So it was, you know, people stopped really coming back.
Scared, yeah.
And so then that was, everything kind of settled, and everything was, you know, just trotting along, and we were kind of preparing for wave 2 because everyone said, everyone said it was going to happen.
Well, do you think when it came, because I know after the lockdown, like you just said, like it was very minimal people. And then you kind of had that summer break where people were like going out and not like that as many restrictions, but also people were traveling. And then you came back, and I knew that second wave hit. Was that I mean, it may not have been as big as the first wave, or was it? I don't really know how many numbers.
So I mean, I couldn't tell you figures exactly, but from our perspective, so we were preparing for the second wave, but I thought it'll never be like, Sean, we ran out of things like oxygen, equipment, you know, because we were so unprepared. So when it came the second time, it was Christmas. It was basically like Christmas, December. It was picking up, you know, kind of November, December, and then it just went boom again, like nothing I have ever seen before, like even worse than the first time. So we didn't run out of equipment because we had equipment. Like the first time, it was kind of, don't wear PPE, we don't have PPE, you know, you don't wear it if you're in green, only wear it if you're in red. But then there were asymptomatic patients turning up in green, so you were never safe really. But it was kind of, it was all changing so much the first time. So the second time it was more, we knew what we were doing, but oh my God.
Just like, the amount of people must have been crazy.
It was absolutely crazy. We have a red phone, like, you know, the red phone that you see in the movies, like, and that red phone, like, it would just ring one after the other. Like, we have 5 beds in our resus bay, and we were just, like, you know, in, out, and we ended up filling every hospital bed. In December, January, we'd opened, the day unit turned into a ward because there were that many people. Coming through. It was just, I left on Boxing night. I went in because it was just mental. I shouldn't have been working, but, you know, it just went mental. And not Boxing night, the night after. And I walked out of the department that night, and there were ambulances queuing down the street. And there were so many ambulances queuing that the police had to come to unblock the road. Now, in my whole time, now I work in a really good hospital that's really run. We've got really well. We've got really good flow. There's never kind of problems with ambulances queuing up and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I've never, in my whole, you know, I've never seen anything like it. It was crazy. And it got to the stage where, so the ambulances were coming, and they were bringing patients. We had nowhere to put them. So the patients were in the back of the ambulances, and we were going out to the back of the ambulances, and we were starting treatment. So then obviously the ambulances couldn't go back out onto the street because they were tied up in, we were getting ambulances. It wasn't just our area. We were getting them from kind of all over northeast London, you know, places really far away from us because everywhere else was packed. We had, during that time, we had 3 people brought in by relatives in the back of cars that had died.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Wow.
they couldn't get an ambulance. Like, it got to the point where, you know, we were considering turning our waiting room into a, like, with trolleys and just offloading patients onto trolleys in our waiting room. Like, I had a meeting and I was like, what, were we going to put them on the floor?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we'll just have to put them, you know, and, you know, it was quite scary because, and again, you know, the same thing happened. We went back into lockdown and, you know, things just gradually settled down. But it was just
it must have been so scary for you and like your colleagues as well because
yeah.
of how much you were working during that time. But not only that, but just like getting scared of getting the virus and then going home, right? Like, so
yeah, definitely.
How scared, like with that, like it must have been such a worry. Like you've just done such a long day at work, like nothing you've ever seen before in your life. Going home and thinking I might have COVID right now and I don't know, and I'm going home to my family. Was that like? And I know you definitely were wearing masks and all that and taking those precautions, but it's still, you know, it's still there. Like, was that a thing
absolutely.
your colleagues and you were just unbelievably scared of?
I mean, at the beginning, it was really scary. So I think as an emergency kind of nurse, someone who works in an environment where you like a bit of drama and stuff like that, you know, it was a bit like, oh, this is exciting, this new virus. But then on the other side, it was like, fuck, could we die? Like, could we catch this and die? So it was a kind of a, you know, a bit of both, you know, and lots of people caught it. And one of the nurses on one of my wards died from it.
Oh my god!
Quite early on in the first wave, and that was just heartbreaking because he would have never died had he caught COVID.
No.
Had he not caught COVID, do you know what I mean? It was scary. Like, it was scary, but you know, I never caught it. Amazingly, loads of people did caught it. Loads of people were sick. We had some staff, you know, that were in and that were hospitalised because of it. You know, and like, I mean, there were days, generally you just get on with it, right? Because that's what you do. But I mean, there were days, like I remember in the first wave, I just, because my boss caught it and the other person I work with, and there are three of us in an office. And so it was just me. And then Callum had a cough.
Right.
And I was like, and it was Mother's Day, and Paul was making dinner, and Callum's coughing. He's like, well, you can't go into work. And I was like, what do you mean I can't go into work? How can I not go into work? Because, you know, if there was someone in your family that had it, then you were meant to self-isolate and stuff like that. And I was like, Callum doesn't have it, it's just a cough. And then I was like, how can I not go into work? I said, there's no one there. The other two were all sick. And then I just like fell apart and I started crying, and I was like, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to die. Oh my God. You know, you had moments where you just like broke down and thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? But I think in the second time I wasn't so scared about it because I kind of got through the first half without catching it. Thank God I never got it, because it is a horrible thing. Yeah. And people can catch it and they can be fine, but it can go one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? So, and you look at the people on the telly that had died and you think, Jesus, that could, you think, Jesus, that could be me. But easily. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people. I mean, there were a lot of nurses that were like, that was the other thing then, because we changed one of our wards into COVID admissions ward, and there were nurses that would turn up for the shift, and they'd be like, "Is this a COVID ward? I'm not staying here. I'm going." And you know, I couldn't really understand that as a nurse, because I'm like, well, yeah, I know it's scary, but this is your job, and how can you walk out? You know. So there was a lot of that about it as well. You know, people just like, no, not worth it. Not going to do it. But we ended up with there was, I think, both times we ended up with one or two wards that weren't COVID. Every other, you know, place in the hospital had to be COVID because everyone that was coming in had COVID.
That's enough. So then. And
then the other thing was that people who had other problems, they just didn't want to come. So after the first wave, we had lots of sad stories about people with cancer, advanced brain tumors, and things like that, because during COVID, they were afraid, risky, to come to hospital. Yeah.
So then now, right, it seems like it's dying down a little bit because the numbers are getting lower, and with the vaccine rollout, and I know the government has let the NHS do it, which is obviously the right thing. And how are you doing anything with the vaccine? Are you?
So we, at the Homerton, we've got a vaccination hub. So, and, you know, they've tried to recruit as many people as possible, nurses and whatever, to roll it out. And it has been, like, a success story. And, you know, I mean, there are people who don't want it.
There are, for sure.
Ethnic minority people.
Yeah.
Think, you know, but, so it's hard to capture everyone. But generally, I mean, it's a good thing, and I know the whole AstraZeneca stuff now is a bit scary for people as well.
No,
but
that's good.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, we are rolling it out, and everywhere is rolling it out. I mean, they've got a massive place in Excel, and they're up to all the over 50s now, so the over 40s won't be long.
Yeah,
and it's really good. It's really positive, because the last time when we came out of the wave, there was no vaccine, so it was kind of it is going to happen.
Yeah,
but I think everybody is probably watching the UK now, because it's been what's going to happen next. Because really, we shouldn't really go into another big wave, because the majority of all vulnerable people will be vaccinated. Everybody kind of over the age of 40 and 50 will be vaccinated by the time things open up again.
Yeah.
By September, they're saying everyone will be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like watch this space, really, because if it's a success, then really it shouldn't. Obviously, there'll be the people who won't have had the vaccine.
Yeah.
And that will be at risk, but then it's the variants as well. So
yeah, with the variants and stuff, I mean, yeah, but with the UK, I mean, the NHS is doing an absolutely amazing job with rolling out the vaccines and stuff, but yeah. Now, Maeve, I have to ask you, how was it being on the news? I know you're on the news.
That was amazing.
How was that?
That was my claim to fame. I know, that was very exciting. Yeah, it was I was with one of my consultants, and we'd come back from a meeting, and the One Show were there, and they were like, "Oh, will you talk?" And then they said it was the One Show, and I was saying to her, "Emma, you have to talk, because Emma's really good. She's really competent." I was like, "Go on, it's the One Show. You'll be on telly. Go on." And she was like, "You do it." And I was like, "No, I don't want to do it." And then she did it, and she said, "Go on, your turn now." And I thought, you know what? It is the One Show. And, I do watch it, and I thought, you know what? Go on. But the funny thing was, right, he said to me, so in October, it'll be 2 years in October, and I won't have been back to Ireland. Yeah. So I really miss my family, and I know Kathy's the same, and you're the same. But I would do anything to see my mum or whatever.
Yeah.
But so he said to me, because it was the story was about the airlines coming and planting a bus and a well-being kind of bus in our kind of in an area outside, on the grounds of the hospital, and you go in, you get a drink, and you get pastry, and you can sit and you can have chat, and whatever. Yeah. And they said to me, so if this was an airplane, you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I just welled up, and then he welled up too, and I said, Ireland, and he said, who would you like to see in Ireland? And I said, my family. And it was a real tear-jerking moment.
Yeah.
And then I laughed, and I was like, oh my God, TV gold, but obviously they didn't show that, because it was a happy story. It was about a good, it was about, this is a good thing, happy, look what people are doing for the NHS. So I was like, oh my God. But no, it was fine. And then they edited it quite a bit as well. So.
Yeah, because I remember,
it was amazing.
I remember I came home, and mum just looked at me and went, oh, May was on the news last night. I said, oh, just on the news? What was she? And then she showed me the clip, and you were there, and I was like, oh my God. That was very, very funny, though. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah, so what was that for? Did you say it was an airline just put something up for the workers?
I think it was it was a Virgin. I think it was I can't remember who it was now that did it. But they basically brought a bus, and it was like a well-being bus, and they had you got double decker, so you go up to the top, or you could sit at the bottom. Yeah. And on the top they had, so it was run by airline staff, so pilots and air hostesses. That's quite cool. And and they were giving little drinks of tea, coffee, soft drinks, orange juice. And they actually had, I think they had some Prosecco on there as well, but obviously for people who weren't working. But, little pastries and fruit. And, you could just go and, people did it, and they said it was lovely. There were magazines on there, and just some time out away from the hospital. Yeah. And just having a chat with the air hostesses and pilots, because they were out of work. They weren't working. Yeah. So they kind of did it as something, so it was a kind of a good news story. It was about helping the NHS.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
So then, how is it now? Are the wards? Are they still busy?
So everything. It's all back to normal now again. It's like, okay, we've got one COVID patient on ITU now, which is fine. Right. We've got one COVID ward, and it's there's probably about 17 empty beds on it, so it isn't full. So we're kind of back to and people are coming back. So for the first time. Since the pandemic started, I think we had just over 300 patients come in the other day. So people are coming back, and Yeah, so it seems to be settling down.
Yeah, it seems like
So,
the vaccines giving a bit of confidence to people, and
yeah,
yeah, it's good.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
as you said, all eyes are going to be on the UK to see what happens
Yeah,
afterwards. Because if there
exactly.
is another wave, like a massive wave after almost the whole country's been vaccinated, and
Then we're in trouble.
yeah, but I mean yeah, but we'll have to see. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Maeve. That was a
That's all right.
lovely
I hope
talk.
it was helpful. I
No,
hope
no,
it was helpful.
you were more than helpful. Thank you so much, Maeve.
What do you have to do? Just write